I've been pronouncing the name of this town wrong all day long. People kept saying, "Where are you staying tonight?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm staying in Seaset." Funny looks. Thought, wonder if I'm not saying that right. Sure enough, it's Syosset. So anyway, I'm on Long Island, Coast to Coast Pinball, episode 16. Let's go. Thank you for joining us here, Coast to Coast Pinball. My name is Nate Shivers. This is a podcast. This is a commentary. And I am a man out of quarters. So it's August... I don't even know what day it is anymore. It's August 13th. And it's going to be August 14th really soon. I've been on the road for over a week. And it's time to go home tomorrow, finally. And since we last joined us here on the podcast, you, the listener, me, the talker... I've traveled through New York City, I've traveled through Brooklyn, and we've seen some pinball. We will talk about that on this episode. At least we'll start it. This will probably end up being across a few episodes, my hijinks in the New York City area. What's going on? I had some carrot cake tonight. I don't know if that's of any interest to anybody. I do love some carrot cake. We're just gonna get this thing started.
Forum static.
So if you're listening to this podcast, I would imagine you are the type who reads about pinball on the internet, follows pinball, maybe owns pinball machines, plays pinball machines, etc., etc., etc. I think there's a little division line, though, between those of us who play and enjoy and collect and maybe restore, and those of us who are into, the world of competitive pinball. Pinball tournaments, pinball at higher levels. And it doesn't necessarily mean you have to play at a higher level, but that you're interested in people who do play pinball at a higher level. And this bit of forum static directly relates to that. It was entitled, well, actually, I think it was originally titled Bowen Kearns is your new pinball world champion or something like that, and then they edited the thread to not spoil it for anybody who maybe was watching the 7.5, 8 hour recorded feed of the finals to just, new Papa world champion crowned or something like that. And now if you look for it on Pinside, on the forums, it is entitled something to do with Pins Papa Thread Champion hijacked, yada 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 yada. So what basically happened here is we had the Papa World Pinball Championships this past weekend at the Papa headquarters in Pittsburgh, and Bowen Kearns won. And if you go and watch any of the video of him playing in the final round, it's absolutely amazing. It's pinball on another level. All of the people in the finals just play the game differently than me, for sure. They have control over the ball in a way that I simply don't. They hit shots with ease, or seemingly with ease. It's a lot of talent, and I'm sure they've put a lot of hard work in to play that hard. So congratulations to Bowen Kearns and to all the other finalists and those of you folks that went out and played. Awesome. I'm going to start doing that. That's going to happen. But so what happened in this thread is it quickly, some of the comments were directed more towards personal experiences at the tournament. And one poster in particular brought up the fact that it was his first time and that he probably would not go back again. And I think really looking at this as a tournament, not just the sort of open Papa headquarters side of it. Because when I first thought about Papa, I thought I just wanted to go to see all the games, experience the fun of, the excitement, the energy level, and not so much about the tournament. I don't think the tournament at first was something I was that interested in. This gentleman, I'm assuming gentleman, was posting more about just from the tournament side, and he felt that he did not want to go back unless Papa changed up the way the divisions were kind of sorted out. So basically the way they run the tournament, and forgive my ignorance on this if I misstep here at all, I'm going to speak from real generalities. You choose which division you're going to play in, and there's an A division, which is for your top level players. These are the best players in the world. Then there's your B division, which this is for competitive pinball players, people who play tournaments, who know the games, practice a lot, etc. And then there's the C division, and the C division is very much aimed at first-time tournament players, novices, and casual pinball players. I would probably consider myself today, on August whatever, 2013, a C division entry, because I've never played in a pinball tournament in my life, and I'm fairly casual. I think I could put the work in and probably rise above newbie rookie status, but right now today, I would be a C entrant, and I don't think it really has anything to do with my age or how long I've been playing. I think it just has to do with my skill level. That's just where I would be, and especially if I was in a situation with pressure and people watching and people playing against me. I'd be definitely in the casual first timer type group. So what this gentleman's post basically said was, and I would read it, but it's long and it gets drawn out. In a nutshell, I will summarize. He would not return unless they did something to sort of keep the quote-unquote, and I don't remember if this was his exact quote, but I'm going to use it because I think it's actually a term that works here, the sandbaggers out of the C division. And sandbagging is not necessarily totally a derogative term in the sense that I don't consider sandbagging cheating necessarily. It's more just if the system's going to let somebody who's really good play against people sort of below their skill level and not be handicapped somehow, that's sort of sandbagging. I play a lot of golf, and in golf, when you play with people you don't know, you exchange handicaps, and somebody who's really good, who maybe is like a 5 handicap, might say, oh yeah, I played about a 10, so that they get strokes, so they trade strokes around, and then they might win money, and that's called sandbagging. And some people do it naturally just because they think, well, I might be a 5 on paper, but really I'm like a 10. And I think there's probably some of that too in pinball tournaments where you have players who have maybe played in some tournaments, maybe some local tournaments or regional tournaments, and done really well. And their skill level is definitely not that of a complete novice or amateur. But when they get to Papa, they just naturally enter the C division because maybe they're young and intimidated. Maybe it's their first time at Papa. Maybe they have had no luck before and a bad run at Papa, so they just figure these are all the greatest pinball players in the world, and I'm not that, so I have to be in the bottom division, whatever. But this post was basically calling out a 10-year-old named Escher, who it was his 3rd year, I believe, playing in the Papa World Championship. So he's been playing at Papa since he was 8. And I guess his run, basically, 2 years ago, he played in the A division and finished dead last. Last year, he failed to qualify for the final rounds in the C division. And then this year, again, entered the C division and sort of was running over the top of people, from what I understand. And there's a lot of info about, players who play in tournaments online now, and his recent record was brought to light that he's done very, very well and beaten some of the top players in the world and had some really high finishes at tournaments. So it was sort of, he became the focal point on, hey guys, we've got really good players of much higher skill levels playing in the C division that at the very least should be up in that B division. And I completely agree. 100% agree with that. If somebody is played at Papa before and has finished in the top 10 of regional tournaments or had really any success and played around tournaments, I just don't think he should be in the C division. I think that C division just needs to be really for folks that are coming to Papa for the first time, who've maybe not played in any or very, very limited numbers of tournaments, don't really even know how they work. That has to be for the beginners, because we need fresh blood. We need more people in this hobby. And if you start putting people in there who are ranked on websites up high, and I understand that he's 10 years old, but I know what 10-year-olds are like. Teresa's a teacher, has taught 10-year-olds, and 10-year-olds are gamers, man. They come to play. And this is just no different than if we were playing, competitive anything that gets broken down by skill level. And pinball is sort of unique that we do this sort of tiered ranking thing by skill. But this is just like, a golf tournament. If you're 10 and you're the best in the world and you can enter the tournament legally, you're playing against the best in the world. And if we're going to rank players based on skill level and you're in the top, I don't know, 25% of the players in a room, you shouldn't be playing in the C division. I agree with that. Now, the thread sort of deteriorated into, you know, accusations of being too rough on the kid, and you owe somebody apologizing. Don't say sandbagging. How do you know he chose to do this? It might have been his dad. Yada yada. I don't know about all of that. I don't really even care. I just know that from a bigger picture, like, forget what happened this past weekend. Like, just forget about it. I don't care. But what we need, though, is we need a welcoming spirit at these tournaments. And I was really pleased to see that one of the main guys from Papa actually jumped into the thread and basically said, I love all the feedback. I want the feedback. I don't get upset about the feedback. I don't take it personally, like some of the people in the thread seem to. Send it all my way. We have to evolve and we have to change. We can't get stale. We can't stay the same. And there will be changes made to how we break up the divisions. So I think that's really awesome that the guys who are running one of the biggest, if not the biggest, and certainly the most high-profile pinball tournament in the world, which crowns quote-unquote the world champion, are so open to listening, to the players, because like he says in his reply on Pinside, without the players, they're nothing. So I think that's awesome. And it got me really thinking about pinball tournaments. I played tournament poker pretty aggressively for a lot of years. I was really big into Los Angeles-based poker scene, and I went to the World Series, played poker there. And poker's sort of an equalizer, because basically if you can buy into the tournament, you can sit down next to the best players in the world. Just simple as that. Now, they sort of use money and buy-in dollars as the ranking system. There will be tournaments that will have a $5,000 buy-in, a $10,000 buy-in, buy-ins that the average Joe Schmuck off the street just simply can't really afford to buy into, unless he just happens to be the average Joe Schmuck, millionaire. And that's an interesting way of doing it. Pinball can't do that because pinball doesn't really pay off like poker does. You have a lot of professional poker players who that's how they earn their money. And there are very few, if any, professional pinball players. Are there some? Maybe there are. I would love to talk to professional pinball players. How do you earn money all year? And I think the face of a professional income, or the income and face and bankroll of a professional pinball player would be drastically different than a high-level tournament poker player. So what pinball has to do is find a way to, file people into divisions so that at these tournaments, which we need to draw people to, and we need to have support from the community, we can have the high-level tournament that is truly crowning the best in the world, but we can also have tournaments that are fun for everyone. And it's interesting, and I think there could be a lot of thought and discussion on how we do that. Do we have just one big open tournament that literally anybody can enter, and it's me against Lyman Sheets? Let's go. And I'm going to lose, and Lyman Sheets is going to beat me, 9,999 times out of 10,000, and that 10,000th he's going to have a bout of the hiccups and can't play or something. So maybe that's how we do it. And then you have other smaller tournaments at the event that are really geared towards non-ranked players. Maybe we need to have a quote-unquote professional status, or if you're looking at IFPA tournaments, maybe if you're a member of IFPA, you can play in the member tournaments, and then then maybe they hold new member tournaments where only non-members can play. Maybe they have a pretty sophisticated ranking system. Maybe we just use their ranking system. And if you've never played before, I know in golf sometimes if you don't have a handicap with a group or with a club, they stick you in the hardest group, and that's where you're going to start. So oftentimes we'll have a qualifying tournament where you play to a 0 handicap. So you don't get any help because they want to assess your skill. And so that's how we rank people. Maybe there's some sort of qualifying that's what's going to seed you in. Are you going to have people sandbagging themselves into the lower things? Maybe. Maybe we tier these prizes and payout structures and such that winning the C tournament is really not a big deal to you. Whereas if you go up into that B division, there's a lot of money there, and then the A division obviously even more so. I don't know. So I think there's lots of ways to do it. I know that that's only one way to run a tournament, and that a lot of people chimed in and said that they much prefer the Pinburg style, which is sort of you're not really playing for high score. You're playing to beat the 3 people that you're paired up with on each game, and I think that's very cool, very interesting way of doing it. It sounds like a lot of fun, and I'm saying this right now. I believe the date's March 28th, 29th, 30th. I'm going to Pinburg. That's happening. And this whole thing, really like reading about and watching the video from Papa, really got me thinking, what's next? And I'm here to announce, on episode 16 of Coast to Coast Pinball, I'm forming Team Coast to Coast. I want to recruit players for Team Coast to Coast. Ideally, so that I don't have to play, because I'm only going to make the team look bad. I want to sponsor players. And I don't know what I'm going to give you. I'm not going to pay you, but I'm going to give you something. I might give you a really cool Coast to Coast Pinball jersey. You play on our team, you wear the jersey, and we'll sponsor you. And maybe at these tournaments, we'll all go out to a victory dinner if somebody wins. Maybe if we all lose, we'll go out to, a victory dinner. We'll all go have steaks. Or maybe I need to get that 10-year-old kid, Escher, sponsored, get him a little jersey, and we'll go out to McDonald's if he wins. I'm serious. I know I sound like I'm joking, but I'm dead serious. Open entries, people. Tell me why you should be on Team Coast to Coast. Pitch me. I'm easy. There's nobody here yet. It's me and Teresa, and neither of us are that good. So as of right now, it's a 6-man team. Maybe it'll be 8 or 10 someday, but right now it's a 6-man team, and it's me and Teresa. We need 4 other people, and maybe 6 other people get rid of us. Serious. Talk to me. So maybe I should be getting a hold of Bowen, see what he's up to. What could I offer? I don't know. But I think that's the future. With my little idea here, I think that's what's next. I think we need the parts companies sponsoring people, individual players. It needs to develop like that. So I'm first. Team Coast to Coast. We're gonna get jerseys. That's happening. With that being said, Expo in October. I'm really still trying to figure out a way to go to Expo, even if it's only Thursday and Friday. Now, Friday is when they have the tournament, which is just a one-day tournament. It's not the big, weekend-long tournament that I just simply can't enter, because if I were to run the table and get towards the end, I got places to be. So, really, I guess I can't enter because that's not happening. But Friday is Pinbrawl, and I believe, and I don't know all the details on Pinbrawl, I'm going to read up on this before next episode, it's a team-based tournament. Team Coast to Coast. So, if you or somebody you know is going to Pinbrawl, and you want to be on Team Coast to Coast, I'm trying to get there. Talk to me. Shoot me an email. coast2coastpinball@gmail.com. Let's put this together. Team Coast to Coast is going to take it down. Only if you're good, though. I don't want any suckers. I don't want any of you fools that don't know how to, hold balls during multi-balls, which sort of just kicks Teresa off the team. But that's okay. Team Coast to Coast, Pinbrawl. We can make this happen, right? So there's pinball in the city, folks. New York City. Manhattan Island, the Big Apple. Let's talk about some of that.
Trip reports.
Down on the Lower East Side, and I say Lower East Side like I'm some New Yorker that really knows all my neighborhoods, but south of where I was staying at the very least, downtown from where I normally am, there's a skateboard shop. It's called Reciprocal Skateboards. But you know what it's also called? It's called Reciprocal Skateboards and Pinball. Because this is no ordinary skate shop. Yes, when you walk in, there's a bunch of skateboards. There's a bunch of skateboard paraphernalia and parts. There's graffiti. There's skaters. Makes sense. But when you get through there and you turn left, come around the corner to the other part of this little Manhattan-based shop, there's a bunch of pinball machines, and it's pretty freaking awesome. Reciprocal Skateboards, actually right now, as far as I can tell, is the largest public collection in Manhattan of pinball machines. Right now, I'm going to run down their game list for you. So if you're going to be in New York City, here's what you can expect to find. New and right up front, right when you walk in, there is a... it's like I'm choking up on it just saying it because I feel like people are about to write me hate mail over it. Kidding. There's a Wizard of Oz limited edition right there. Played it a bunch. Actually, it's the game I played the most. Also, we have a Creature from the Black Lagoon, Circus Voltaire, Jackbot, Whitewater, a currently out of commission Star Trek The Next Generation, and I love that their Star Trek The Next Generation is not working. It's a bummer. However, there's a sign blaming the person who they say broke it on the machine, which I like that. This place has some attitude. World Cup Soccer, Fishtails, No Fear, The Getaway, and Spider-Man. So it's a very eclectic game, all from the modern era. Almost entirely DMD games there. Very, very cool place. It's tight quarters. You can't like fling back from a game if somebody's playing the game behind you, because you will be running into someone. There's windows out to the street. It's pretty neat. It's over by First Avenue, and I've been there before and spent some time there. Cool vibe, very laid back. The guys at the counter were actually streaming the Papa Finals while I was there on, was that Saturday or Sunday? I don't remember. They were more than willing to like get me more quarters. They burned through my quarters, and I had an issue on World Cup Soccer where an air ball popped up and like caught itself on one of the plastics and wouldn't come down. They jumped up when I let them know, ran over, gave me, got the ball loose, gave me a credit. Totally friendly about it. It's a nice environment. If you are intimidated by the skate shop vibe, don't be. Everyone's really cool in there. A lot of people in reciprocal skateboards while I was there, and I was there, middle of the day, like 3:30, 4 o'clock, and there were people in and out playing games, which is great to see. So they just took their delivery of their limited edition Wizard of Oz a few weeks ago. I think like 3 weeks ago. They posted on their Facebook that they got it, and it's pretty, man. I gotta say, I hadn't played one of the official launched limited editions yet. It plays much better than the prototypes I had played at other spots. It's gorgeous, and this one had better software than I had previously played, so the ball save modes that a lot of people have been talking about were up and running. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, both the left and the right drain on Wizard of Oz have sort of little target games that you can manipulate the machine or the ball to hit these targets, and if you complete either all 4 of the Toto targets on the right out lane, or there's no place like home targets, if you hit them enough times in the left out lane, you get to play a little bonus game after your ball's drained where it auto shoots you a ball, and you have to complete tasks to try and save your ball. How cool is that? I think it's awesome. I never did save my ball. I got there's no place like home targets. There's sort of the semicircle, quarter circle targets that are like kind of front and center in the game. I got all of them lit but one, and then drained over on the right side. And you can't save your ball during the save your ball game. It doesn't go that far. So, and then the Toto one, you hit all these 4 rollover targets, which I'm a big fan of rollover targets. There's certain things from the EM era that I just think are so fun and so nifty. And I love the little rubber star kind of like multi-star lined rollover targets from back in the day. And these are a modern version, like a lit up raised target that almost looks like a button. And you have to roll over all 4 of them, and they're sort of diagonal from each other. So you're trying to nudge the game. I actually tilted this game a bunch trying to save my ball on these games. But with the Toto save, you get the ball back and you have to hit one specific shot. And it's, I believe, the one ramp shot. And you have to do it fairly quickly, which I did not do. I failed. Bad under pressure. I still don't really know what I'm doing on this game. I need to read one of the threads or one of the rule sheet listings so that next time I get in front of this game, I actually have a clue. Because I just sort of launched the ball, and I keep trying to shoot the ball up into the house, the upper playfield with the spinning house, and it just keeps coming back down on the habit trail to the left flipper, and I just do that a bunch over and over. And then I do get the witch to appear sometimes, and then I try and shoot her, and that's usually when I start draining the ball. Question for the world, and I should have looked this up. Between the flippers, there's the little save post, the little post where the ball bounces and doesn't drain down the middle. And you see this on a small number of pinball games throughout history. What's that called? Is that called a save post? I don't know. And when they're there, I sometimes get cocky with it, and we'll see balls like rushing down the middle, and I think in my head, I'm better off to not try and flip at this ball, whichever flipper I feel like it's on that side, and just let it bounce straight off that thing. And I kept screwing that up pretty badly and losing my ball. The pop bumpers, I'm sure you've all seen them. They're the evil trees. It's so freaking cool. The game's just gorgeous. The color changing lights, and it's awesome. The LCD screen's getting there. There's still more that needs to happen. But yeah, bravo that these are out there. And I know they're not out there fast enough, but it's such a solid feeling, cool game. When you get that shaker motor starting to turn on for you, it's just such a cool feeling. So if you're in New York City, go play Wizard of Oz Limited Edition. I spent most of my time on that, and then I would get mad at it, turn around, and they have it on, I think, 50 cents a play or something like that, which is cool. I played a lot of Circus Voltaire. I'm such a sucker for Circus Voltaire, and I ran up some good scores on that. Played that real well. The games at Reciprocal are all in mechanically good shape. I did notice on this brand new Wizard of Oz limited edition, one of the flippers was swapped out for like a Williams flipper. It wasn't a ruby red flipper. And if you see my little conglomerate photo that I did for Reciprocal, one of the photos is the Wicked Witch picture. And if you look closely at the flippers, one's the ruby red slipper flipper, and one's just like a white lightning flipper or whatever. So I don't know what happened there. I don't know if an air ball knocked that slipper off. Kind of interesting. Other than that, the games were in fairly good shape, in really good shape. Maybe a little dirty. You know, it is New York City, and I know they're getting a lot of play. I can't stress that to those of you who might be listening that, you know, have games on route, or especially if you own the games in your business, wipe them down, clean them down. That's like the most basic, easy care, and they look better that way. So, spent a lot of time with Circus Voltaire, played some Creature from the Black Lagoon. I'm actually going back and listening to all the Topcast episodes that the guys from pinrepair.net did, and I am kind of randomly just picking some out just to listen to while I'm driving. And I was listening to the very long episode that they did with John Trudeau, and he talks a lot about designing Creature from the Black Lagoon. And they really go into some great detail at some of the games. So when I saw a Creature, I knew I had to put some money in it, and you can tell that is probably John's favorite game he designed. So pretty interesting hearing back some older, you know, podcasts to go real deep into the games with these interviews. And I don't know that I'll ever interview those guys on this show. I've gotten a lot of emails like, hey, you know, why don't you call up so-and-so and try and, you know, get so-and-so designer on here. I feel like that's already being done, and I feel like, I don't know, hasn't it all been said? I think there are people to interview, and I have some ideas, and I've actually approached a couple folks. I may do some things, but it probably will not be that straight up, you know, here's Steve Ritchie for 30 minutes talking about, you know, whatever that he's already talked about. You know, do we really need to go through that again? Maybe I'll do it. But I really enjoyed that interview with John Trudeau, and so I played Creature and kind of envisioned what he was talking about as he designed it, and it gave me even a better sort of appreciation for that game. I would love to own that game someday. Played some World Cup Soccer. It's a game I don't normally like very much. I get really tunnel vision on games that have sort of specialty shots in them. I think I've mentioned that on Tron, that I just shoot at the spinning disc and it costs me the game very quickly. I do the same thing with World Cup Soccer. I just try and shoot the goals. And there's a lot more to that game, and I don't do very well at it. Played The Getaway. It's a game I'd never really spent much time on. Steve Ritchie game. Fun, really fun. I had long ball times on The Getaway. It's fast. Put up probably, you know, my best scores of any game there. Maybe Circus Voltaire, but and other than that, I'm not a Fishtails fan. Didn't need to play that. Just played Whitewater too much recently. I'm sort of burnt out on that. Didn't need to play Spider-Man. So I really kept going back to Wizard of Oz and took some photos of the shop. Got that up on our Facebook page right now and on our website at coast2coastpinball.com. That'll be there. Cool guys. I didn't do the whole, hey, I have a podcast, what's going on? I just, did casually ask them how business was, and they just said it's going really well. And that sort of leads me into my next little thing with Reciprocal. The owner's name is John. And John has recently purchased the Satellite Lounge in Brooklyn. And the Satellite Lounge was sort of one of the spots I would go play pinball on Long Island. And when I was staying over in like Queens or Brooklyn or Long Island City, that was a place that had some games. Well, they wanted to get out of the bar business, and they sold it to John, who owns Reciprocal Skateboards, who is now opening soon, maybe as soon as the end of this month, the 1st of September, a new venture called Jack Bar. And so I told you they have a Jack Bot game at Reciprocal Skateboards, and now there will be a bar/pinball bar called Jack Bar. And if you find him on Facebook, his logo is the Jackbot logo with the robot holding his lady, and but he's scratched out the OTs of bot and written AR over it, so it's Jack Bar, which is pretty awesome. And I think John's really passionate about pinball. And I don't know him, never met him. I may reach out to him because I want to go see the place when I'm back here in the New York area in a few weeks. Very exciting because I think he can own Brooklyn pinball scene. Because if you go look on a pinball map, Brooklyn, there's a lot of games, but there are very few of them conglomerated. They're all sort of onesie twosies in different bars, and it's neat because you can kind of do like the pub crawl, pinball crawl in Brooklyn pretty easily. But I think it'll be great to have a really pinball centric place to go play. So I really wish him the best of luck. I know that he runs a pretty famous or infamous tournament called Pinferno every year, and he's already said that Jack Bar will be the new home of Pinferno when he gets that up and going. So I think that's going to be awesome. It sort of, when I remember when the Satellite Lounge posting came up, that it was, to our great dismay, that Satellite Lounge, the games are gone and they've served their last drink, and I was bummed. I was like, oh no, but then John's got it, so I think it's in good hands. I think that'll be awesome. So that's a great thing for New York City pinball. Very exciting stuff. I had some really good feedback about the new segment that we debuted on the last episode called "And the Year Was." I guess my bumper's a little hard to understand, but he's about to say it right here. And the year was.
And the year was...
So the year was 2004. What was going on in pinball in 2004? Not a lot, right? There was only Stern. Stern had been Stern pinball for a few years now. They had just come off 2003, which, if you look at 2003 Stern releases, pretty good year. Simpsons Pinball Party, Terminator 3, Lord of the Rings. Nice. 2002, the year before that, had been not quite as nice. 3 games that year also, Playboy, Roller Coaster Tycoon, and then a re-release of Harley Davidson. 2004, we only had 2 games. And, it's an interesting 2 games. It's a game that we're also going to tie this right into a segment I like to call...
Going up?
Going down.
Do you see what I'm doing here? I'm optimizing time. We're doing 2 segments in one. So, 2004. In March of 2004, Stern released Ripley's Believe It or Not. Pat Lawler design. A lot of people have said that this game was them trying to redo Twilight Zone. So they had a TV show theme, a TV show based on sort of weird travels of Mr. Ripley and, weird, amazing stories that were true. Ripley's Believe It or Not. And if you look at the layout, it's a Pat Lawler layout. There is some similarities there to Twilight Zone, maybe to Whirlwind as well. I've heard people kind of compare it to Whirlwind. So I think that's an interesting comparison. It screams Twilight Zone to me just because of some of the way the modes work and the fact that there's some really easy stuff that if you just walk up to a Ripley's Believe It or Not and throw some quarters in it, there's some easy shots. There are some easy attainable, modes to get to. The continents is the big thing. There's 7 continents and you go to the continents. But then there's also like hard stuff to get to that I've never gotten to. There's an Atlantis wizard mode that you have to spell out the word Ripley on the playfield to get to. I've never even come close. So Ripley's Believe It or Not has a cool shrunken toy head with some magnets. It has a really busy artwork and lights, but it sort of works for that game. There's a lot going on. I like the audio on the game. I like the music. It's a fun game, and I don't think it did very well. And there are no released production numbers for this game, but I don't think there were thousands and thousands of this game built because A, you don't see them everywhere, and B, this was not really a successful time for pinball in general. So, Ripley's Believe It or Not is currently ranked a very respectable number 72 on the Pinside Top 100. So that's not bad. I think it's underrated at that myself, personally. But I don't think enough people have played this game to really rate it, to get it much higher. So the other game that year was Elvis. And if you listen to this podcast since the beginning, you can know I'm not a huge fan of this machine. And I might be a little unfair of this game. It is ranked in the top 100. It's ranked number 91, which surprises me a bit because I don't see it. I think there's a lot of games that I would enjoy more, but Elvis was the first Stern pinball machine to use a music theme, and they licensed and then use real Elvis songs. They use a lot of music from his famous 1968 comeback special, and then I think some from another Hawaiian concert. They also use some generic music. That's actually the main gameplay music is not even Elvis music, which is a little weird. I think my problems with this game more than anything, though, and this is a Steve Ritchie design, it is really the theme and the integration of the theme and the colors on the game. I'm not an Elvis fan. I'm an Elvis fan in the sense of he was an American rock and roll star, and I think that's pretty awesome. But I'm not like a big, I don't need to go listen to Elvis records. They're, Suspicious Minds, great song. That's about as far as I take it. The layout's not bad. There's an upper playfield in the back that you have this Heartbreak Hotel shot. Kind of a cool gimmick. The toy on this game was a moving Elvis that shook his hips and danced to the music, and I know that a lot of people sort of make fun of that, but it works okay. It does work all right. There's the classic left orbit, shoot the right inner orbit with the upper flipper shot that's sort of a Steve Ritchie thing, for sure. I think that's like the Getaway, right? So that's there. It's sort of, I've seen people actually write that it has Ritchie-esque shots. So there's that. It's just a cluttered looking game, though. There's a lot of pink on the game. The text, the font that they used for everything, even on the inserts, I don't like it. It's not, to me, a cool looking game for a grown adult. And they even talked about this game as sort of being targeted at all ages. I think they were trying to get maybe some older people and younger people into this game, family friendly, so that it's not not a real drain monster of a game. You hear people say it all the time, "Oh, this game's a drain monster." Well, Elvis is not that. It plays pretty long ball times. I can't get into it. I'm not a fan. I think you could take the same layout and retheme it to something just cooler, maybe an original theme, something. This could be your Walking Dead machine pretty easily. Get that music off there, and you'd have something cool, because I can't tell you the layout's bad. And I've played this game before in an arcade with the music off, and actually I think I liked it better. I don't know. Some of the songs they picked for the machine from the Elvis songs are actually just Elvis songs I don't like. So maybe I'm being really biased towards this game. They also released a gold edition, 500 of those, and they sold all of those. I think that sort of keeps the price down on this, because I think anyone who is going to try and collect an Elvis pinball machine probably goes and finds the gold edition. That's just my hunch. So let's take a look at these two games from the view of going up, going down, because that's my other segment we're mixing into this here. Ripley's Believe It or Not, to me, is going up. I see very few of them for sale. The ones that are for sale, there's a few on eBay. They're all $4,000 to $5,000, so they're back up to where the game sold for new. I think it's a game that once people get in their homes, they're hanging on to, because it is very deep and it's challenging and there's a lot going on, and it's sort of a cool theme. It's neat. It's Twilight Zone-esque. It has an edge to it, sort of a little bit of a darkness to it, with still being fun though. And it has interesting shots. I think maybe the problem for this game is that you can sort of just stack jackpots and hit the shrunken head, get multi-ball going, hit jackpots over and over and over. There's ways to score high on the game, but as far as progressing through the actual modes, I think it's probably a lot of fun in the home, and it's actually on my want list for sure. So for me personally, it's going up. If you look at the average sale price of Ripley's Believe It or Not, in the past 60 months, it was fairly low. It was hanging around the $2,300 range. This year it's at $2,400, but that's with very, very few sold, because there just aren't that many being sold. I couldn't find one on a Craigslist ad anywhere in the country today for sale, and that tells me people are hanging on to them and they're getting put into collections, and people like the game. So if you get a chance at one of these, I say go for it. Elvis is going down. That era of Stern was either hit or miss. It's just it's either you were great or you weren't, to me. You were Simpsons Pinball Party, or you were what's the really bad one? Striker Extreme from the early 2000s. Now, you can easily say to me Terminator 3, and then my argument goes out the window because that's sort of right in the middle. But Elvis isn't one that's hot. I don't think it's a theme that a lot of the folks coming into pinball now are all that interested in. We're just too young. I'm, in my mid-30s, and I don't remember really Elvis. I only know Elvis because I was in the music world a lot. So it's not a theme people are, like, really hip to or looking for. The thing's got a lot of pink and gold on it. It's sort of gaudy. The back glass actually isn't that bad. It's sort of dark and just has this red Elvis logo and lights across it. It's not so bad. But if you look at the actual numbers, the average price for 60 months, last 60 months on Elvis on eBay sales was almost $3,300. This year, with 4 sold, it's just under $2,700. So this game has gone down. There's a lot of ads for games that have been on sale for a long time for Elvis, too, that have just been hanging there. Some of them really high and ridiculous, like $9,000 for a gold one, $6,000 for the standard one. That's just too high. This game is not worth that kind of money. $9,000 for Elvis? Please. Yeah, I'm looking at you, fun. But anyway, it's going down. I think, like I said, the collectors are probably snatching up the gold ones, and that's what they're hanging on to. I saw some threads on Pinside. People had sold them for as little as, really fixed up nice ones for like $2,400. So, Elvis on the way down. Sorry, I know you're the king, yada, 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 but not the greatest thing ever. More stuff to talk about. We're out of time. I had a mailbag to dip into. I had stuff and things and happenings and events, but that's okay because it's late anyhow. Flying home tomorrow. I miss Teresa. I miss my Twilight Zone. I'm going to go get my Judge Dredd. That's going to be great. Don't know when the next episode will be. Probably the weekend, something like that. If you got anything you want to talk about, please find me. You can email me at coast2coastpinball@gmail.com. That's coast, the number 2, coastpinball@gmail.com. We're on Twitter at C2C Pinball. We have a website, www.coast2coastpinball. We have a blog there, and you can feel free to comment on mistakes I might have made on the blog. That's where those go. And then, of course, there's a Facebook page. So I'd love to hear feedback, love to hear what you're interested in. If you've got any suggestions for games that you'd love to hear spoken about, let me know. I'm not telling you, I'm not for sure I will do that, but I'd like to see what you're interested in. So, and again, I appreciate you very much for listening. The support has been pretty awesome. So, until next time, enjoy it. Hey, you guys, how are you two? What's going on? What'd you think of the show?
That was unreal!
Wow, really? Unreal? I mean, I thought it was okay. It was, pretty good show. I'm a little tired, a little late at night, I don't know. Really? Unreal?
I am the ringmaster.
Okay.
Monsieur, I challenge you to a duel.
I'm sorry, you challenge me to a what?
A duel.
Your voice is getting, cut off, as if, the audio clip or something isn't right. What's wrong?
You would be trying to do if you had a spring for a neck.
Wait, you have a spring for a neck? That's why you can't finish your sentence?
Do your worst.
My worst? I'm sorry, is there something wrong with him? Whoa, man, you've got to calm down. I'm gonna go, I think, because this isn't not my scene.
Oh, wow!
Yeah, serious, not for me. You guys can figure this out on your own. I'm out of here.
I challenge you.
Yeah, you challenge me. That's great. I'm leaving.
What are you doing?
I told you, I'm leaving. I'm out. Please, out of my way, dude. Come on.
Great shot!
Shot at what? What is wrong with you two? Ugh.
Adios. Goodbye.
Yeah, bye.
That was unreal!